Hi, I'm Andrea.
I'm Jasmine.
And we're Natural Be Ewe Yarns.
And this is our Sip and Stitch podcast.
Which we haven't done in a while.
No, we haven't. But we have a bunch of new followers. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Sip and Stitch used to be a monthly podcast.
And then we got a little busy.
No, but busy this year has been a blessing and a curse because we're exhausted. But we're so excited to talk about everything that has sort of come to fruition and recap all of that with you.
Right. But first we need to explain the orange.
Yes.
Because today is Truth and Reconciliation Day here in Canada. And we are actually going to be joining the celebration, well, not celebration, but the events that are happening here at the Pictou waterfront this afternoon.
Yeah.
There's going to be a drumming circle. There's kids from the school at Pictou Landing, native school coming. I don't think.
First Nations.
First Nations, I'm sorry.
So part of moving forward and hopefully reconciliation and reparations is just acknowledging that we are on unceded Mi'kmaq territory. And
I think that as a business we need to make that more evident more often.
Right.
Because it's very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
So today we are, like we said, going to be joining in the events down at the waterfront, but we wanted to do a fast introductory, and then we'll pop back on later to finish out the podcast.
Right.
So September is almost over.
Right. We finally had a couple of days off this past week after not stopping all summer.
Yes,
right?
And it kind of started back in May when we took on a whole bunch of new wholesale accounts.
Right.
I'm sitting in patio furniture, which is not the most comfortable. There, let me. Aha. And and so
Sorry.
for those of you who have just begun following us, or those who have been following us for a while, but
forget
that you can get our yarn at other places. There is a list of our retailers on our website, but just sort of acknowledgement: Yarns Untangled in Kensington Market, Toronto.
Grey Heron Yarn Shop in Belleville.
Yes.
And here,
Margaret from Knitpickers PEI carries us.
And she's teaching a workshop at the PEI Fiber Festival next weekend.
That should be really exciting. Yeah,
that should be nice.
Hopefully we can do something more with her next year on the PEI Fiber Festival, whether we go or she takes our yarn. I don't know.
Anyway,
this is just
we're
exciting.
Open to collaborations with
Sisterhood Fibers in Tattamagush
and Truro.
Yeah,
they have our yarn.
Are they not moving out of their one location?
I don't know exactly when, but the word is they might.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Down in the valley, there is Wool's on the Corner. No. Wool and Tart.
Yes, and Gasbro Family Fibers.
And Halifax, Dartmouth areas, there's Via and The Loop.
The Loop, yes. Mimi at The Loop has our Guts to Have It Merino, and Fia is carrying our Echo yarn base.
Right.
So you need to go to both.
So if you're looking for something and it's no longer available on our website, there's a chance one of our retailers has stuff in stock.
Right. And then the big thing that happened.
First and foremost, I mean, we got to recognize Tracy's Rolling Yarn Truck also carries us.
Yeah, Tracy's Rolling Yarn Shop kind of goes everywhere. This year was the first year she actually also went to New Brunswick and to PEI. But whenever there are cruise ships that stop in Sydney, Nova Scotia, she is parked at the port. So all the people that are on cruises that knit can go and pick up their Nova Scotia yarn. And then she invited
we dye
us.
some custom colorway for her called Sydney Sunrise. It's a little different each time because so are the sunrises.
Right. Every sunrise is different.
But I mean, you use pomegranate for golden tones, coreopsis
for a little bit orangey yellow, and then there's cochineal.
Cochineal for your hints of pink and red in there.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a really lovely color.
Right, and so you were trying to tell everyone that Tracy invited us up this past month for a very special event.
Yes, we did a meet and greet at the pier because there was an actual knitting cruise that came in that was organized by the grocery girls. And so there were Pretty Strings, Timber Yarns, and us, Natural You.
We were actually the only dyers from Nova Scotia who turned up.
Right.
Pretty Strings and Timber Yarns. Timber Yarns is known for their self-striping sock yarn.
Beautiful.
Karen from Pretty Strings just has vibrant, gorgeous colors.
Yes.
And they're both based in Ontario, so they flew out to meet the grocery girls.
Right, and it was really nice to meet them too.
Yes.
And then
we got
all
to go
the
for dinner a
knitters
couple
from
times.
the cruise, and then all the knitters that were local that came down.
Yes.
We had a little knit.
There was sort of a knit circle.
There was a circle of chairs, and then there was Tracy had refreshments. There were oat cakes, which are of Scottish background, right? But
yeah, they were famous oat cakes. A recipe from a famous person whose name is escaping me now.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But oat cakes are something that a lot of Nova Scotians really enjoy. Nova Scotia actually means New Scotland. And we ourselves are from Pictou, Nova Scotia, which is where one of the first ships...
The first ship. The Hector.
The Hector.
Yeah,
landed.
last year was major celebrations because it was the 250th anniversary of the landing of the ship Hector.
And we have the restoring of ship Hector.
Yes, and it was the 150th anniversary of the incorporation of the town. So while there were already Indigenous people here, it marks the first landing of
the
Europeans, the Scottish.
Yeah, and so Pictou is the birthplace of New Scotland, which is really kind of cool.
It is cool. And in keeping with honoring the Mi'kmaq who are already here, Pictou is a Mi'kmaq word, which is why we mispronounced it Pictou when we first saw it.
Right. Yes. And actually, those first settlers would not have survived if it wasn't for the Mi'kmaq people. So
back to Tracy and Jody of Tracy's Rolling Yarn. Not Tracy. Grocery Girl.
Tracy's Rolling Yarn.
Yeah, I got the Tracy's confused. No, back to Tracy and Jody. It was so lovely to meet them, and it was kind of surreal to see them mention us on their podcast.
Yes.
And I think there was just so much going on that, I don't know if they told everyone who has now started following us that we actually dye with all natural dyes. So things that we grow in our gardens or forage locally.
Right, and then some exotic things that we need to order in, like logwood chips, because logwood trees do not grow here.
And and things like madder root, which takes many, many years to harvest.
And then it's hard as rock.
So, we dye with all natural dyes, and we choose earth-friendly, all-natural bases. So, the Grocery Girls colorway, we made one for them. You did.
Yes.
Called Grocery Girls Knit East, and it was a beautiful blend of almost a burgundy tone of lac.
Right.
Mixed with swirled with madder root.
Right.
On our Gots to Have It merino base, which is a GOTS certified organic merino that comes to us that way, and then we dye it naturally. And it has been treated with this revolutionary new superwash process called the Schuler XP method, which is basically non-chlorinated. They're using oxidization and salt to descale the yarn, and then rather than coat the entire yarn in a resin, which makes it non-biodegradable, they just coat in spots with a type of resin that does biodegrade over time. So it says that it's good for 50 machine washes, though.
But don't machine wash.
No, don't machine. No, but it's for people who are doing baby knits and such and aren't sure.
Right. So it'll be fine for the time that the child's a baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
And beyond.
But the lovely thing about it is that it doesn't stretch and sag over time.
Right.
Like a lot of superwash yarns. Not only are they not biodegradable when they end up in the landfill, but they lose their shape. They lose their shape.
Yeah.
So,
shall I show some of it?
Yes, there's some right beside you. This is This is Sunday Sprinkles, which was also on the port, at the port for shopping purposes. And it is a yarn that we made in collaboration with Thompson's Dairy Bar here in Pictou.
Which is down the street.
Yeah, and it's meant, all the little bursts of color, orange, yellow, green, pink, and purple, are meant to represent the sprinkles on their Sundays. What else?
Because This one here is called Divination.
Ooh, kind of perfect for a spooky season coming up. The name, at least.
Right.
It's the idea of casting a spell.
So I do tonals, and we have a special technique we use
What
to
are you
make
trying to say? You just stopped talking.
kettle dyes.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't come up with the word.
You do a type of dyeing that it blends the colors in variegated ways so that they stripe up really nice.
Yeah, and they really, the colors kind of mesh.
Mm-hmm.
It's more difficult to do with natural dyes because they do need to be submerged in the dye and simmered, unlike chemical dyes, which just are absorbed by the yarn much more quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I do for things like the Sunday Sprinkles and this one here, Pollinator's Picnic, is I have a technique for putting bursts of color on it without them running and blending together, which we call a nature wrap.
Yes.
So this one here, Pollinator's Picnic, we like the name because all of our gardens and all the things that we forage are organic, and so the pollinators love our yard. We have bees and bumblebees and
all kinds of flying insects, but this year, because of all the milkweed we planted, we had lots of monarch butterflies, which was the first time I had actually seen them in years.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I know a lot of people are starting to plant milkweed because the monarchs are sort of headed towards extinction.
Well, hopefully not now with all the interest.
We alone can't make the difference, though. So hopefully,
the Pictou and Area Garden Club is also a big supporter of the monarch butterfly program. So I'll put these back.
Okay.
We didn't plan anything. Can you tell?
Yeah, we're just kind of going on.
We are sitting in our studio shop.
We are with a wall of yarn kind of behind us.
The yarn amount keeps shrinking, and then we start it back up, and then it shrinks. It was
full the other day, and I was like, "That's perfect for the upcoming video." And then there was an order, and I'm like, "Oh, it looks kind of empty."
It's in a big box over there.
So another thing that happened this September, on top of meeting the grocery girls and getting to chat with them, which was fantastic, and sort of. Like, Jody was happy to hear we're mother-daughter because she's dying now with her daughter, and just the little connections like that. We also, earlier this September, re-released the Boreal Collection. That was a project from 2023 when we aimed to raise awareness about the boreal forest and, like, the largest biome and how important it is, not just part of the Canadian identity.
Covers a huge area of Canada.
But also Scandinavia, Russia, like just the northern hemisphere. Right, and why it is so important, and then, you know, conservation efforts and sort of.
So we've got different colorways in that named after different parts, right?
And when we first brought it out, it was a mix of Echo and Goss.
And now it's mostly on Echo at the moment.
So our Echo base is also fingering weight merino. For those of you who don't know, it is non-treated organic merino.
80%.
80% and then 20% recycled nylon, because people do still want nylon for their socks and mittens and certain things like that for durability, but there's no need to put more petroleum products out into the world. They already take somewhere of like 500 years to break down. So it's always a good idea to turn to the newly emerging field of recycling.
Right, and not enough of the fibers get recycled. So if you have an opportunity to actually find something recycled, encourage that industry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the Echo Merino base, we did the Boreal Collection with a select few colorways re-released for this year.
Do you want to see a few?
Yes, I do.
Okay, you remind me what they are. Here, this one?
Yeah. No, you're right. Am I supposed to remind you, or we're playing a game where we see if you can remember?
Let's play a game.
Okay. So I've got spruce and tamarack trail, and there's beautiful write-ups on our website about what these colors represent. But spruce,
and why that part of the boreal is significantly important.
Yeah, but white spruce is part of the reclamation efforts. It's the tree that is being planted the most. and it provides food and habitation and coverage for a lot of animals in the boreal forest. Tamarack Trail. This is one of the few trees that grows that far north, and it's a deciduous tree, but a conifer at the same time, because its needles turn bright yellow in the fall. And they're also able to store all kinds of water, because the ground is frozen most of the year. So it's actually a really magnificent tree that turns a bright yellow golden color in the fall.
Sort of like this.
Sort of like this, yeah. You know, it's not exact, but we tried. Oh, bless you.
I did put color on it. And then there's this tree.
Okay, balsam bark. So, yeah, we did a lot of trees, but it's to acknowledge balsam bark is a source of food for moose and caribou and other big animals. They prefer it over the spruce, which is why spruce is used for reclamation. And also balsam bark is like one of those things that is really distinctive, because it's this light gray spotted color with striations. So
beautiful.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a ton of write-ups on the website to talk to you about it, but it is a lovely like gray color. Are you seeing that? And the thing about our tonals is there are different depths to the hues, so you're never going to knit up just one tone. It's going to have this wonderful play of light and dark as you knit it, without pooling.
Right. But if you're in doubt, or if you have slightly different amounts of color in two different skeins, just stripe them together as you're working.
You did helix, so is that what it's called?
Helical knitting.
Helical knitting on your last sweater.
Right, but that was because it was a nature wrap.
It was a variegated nature wrap. You did Everything is Love.
Right.
So for those of you who don't know, Everything is Love is our most exotic colorway. It comes out once a year in time for Pride, and
more colors in it than any other yarn.
It's the most labor-intensive process that we undergo with natural dyes, and it's to try and paint a natural rainbow on a skein of yarn. And so for something that variegated, yeah, you definitely did helical knitting so that
so that it would mix nicely, and it's lovely. We will need to show you that at another time.
Yes.
This is
Beaver Meadow Trail.
Right.
I don't know why you picked up both of them. 2 skeins of Beaver Meadow Trail.
Just because it's hard to sometimes see all the colors.
So beavers are recognized as the engineers of the boreal forest, helping with damming and different
water control and flooding and all that stuff.
And anyway, they're really important to the boreal forest, and so we made a colorway for them, and it's a nature wrap. Oh no!
There's yarn rain.
And I want to sort of show it off. We've got all kinds of hues in here that is really gorgeous.
A little bit of green, beige.
Yeah. I don't know why that tag's wrong on that one, but there we go. Yeah. And it goes well with Tamarack and the other.
Yes.
You've taken them away from me now.
Because you couldn't.
Because I couldn't handle them.
You were throwing them around.
Okay, so I'll hold these together and you talk about the others. Bless you.
This is representative of the Peace Athabasca Delta, which is one of the largest, or the largest delta area in the boreal forest. And a lot of fish and wildlife.
It's necessary for the wetlands, and it's under a lot of strain at the moment due to what's it called, drilling for petroleum and
yeah, and of course all the native people that are living in that area and fish for their livelihood, and just because that's where they live. It's a horrible thing to be, invading that area with oil drills.
Right. So, just to keep going, there's only 2 skeins left of Wild Violet. Wild Violet is this beautiful purple-blue flower that grows in the boreal forest, and it's self-pollinating. And it's just sort of, there's not a whole lot of plant or flowers that grow because of the conditions along the forest floor, they don't get enough light. And
But the little violets.
The little violets grow. So
Yes.
that and moss and other natural sort of processes.
Mm-hmm.
Here, you hold this with that one.
Some parts of the boreal forest boreal can only be reached by airplane too.
Yes.
We don't have any of the Wabakimi, yeah.
Yeah, Wabakimi National. Wait, don't put it back. To finish up the collection, we also have elderberry, which is a favorite. It's a nice deep dark purple. And some of these colors can also be found in our halo, our mohair and silk base.
And the other thing about natural dyes is that the colors tend to gradiate very well from one to the next.
So you hold that one while I grab one more, because you forgot one. It's called...
I can't reach it, that's why.
Red Fox, which is a little bit different this year. It's not as red as it was last year, but that's okay because it looks lovely next to all of these.
Yeah, it goes really well with Tamarack Trail and Beaver Meadow Trail.
So that's the Boreal Collection that we released this September. A fan favorite that is down to just 2 skeins is the Wild Violet.
And we didn't make any of the Aurora Borealis on the Echo because
Aurora Borealis is available on our Gots to Have a base because one of our stockists requested it and put in an order for it. So here we are.
Yes.
So that also goes. It's a blend. See what we did
and
here?
Then it goes into
we did earthy tones and we did gem tones. And there's wonderful, like I said, write-ups. There is a link for more information on how you can help with conservation efforts or make a difference and learn more about the boreal forest. And all of that is on the website.
Yeah, there's a link on the website.
I'll link the website page to the collection below. And hopefully you'll have a little browse and let us know.
It's really important. I think a lot of us are really much more conscious of the effect of mankind on the planet. So, and if in little ways we can all make a difference.
Exactly. We're going to take a small break now to go down and see the ceremonies.
Yeah.
And we'll be back to fill you in with other new things that are happening here at Natural Be Ewe Yarns.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Bye for now. And we're back. Psych. So we had a chance to go see the events. Do you want to talk a little bit about it before we
It was nice because, of course, all the government officials talked. We had the mayor, the MLA, and the organizer, who happens to be a town councillor, but also a teacher at the native school at Pictou First Landing. And it was really nice that she put together a group of drummers, and they opened the ceremonies up, or the afternoon up, with a drumming circle. Then there were some of her students were doing smudging. I got smudged.
Lovely.
It was nice. And then there was beading. There was 2 tables with a game that you could play with slices of moose antler.
Okay.
Were painted on one side, and it was on kind of a flattish bowl type plate thing made of wood, and you banged it and flipped them, and then it depended on how many faced up, and if you got a 1, then that was extra points. And I didn't really understand. There was a lot of people around, but it looked like fun.
So you didn't have a chance to play?
No.
Did you paint the feather on the walk?
No, that didn't seem to be a thing.
That wasn't a thing this year.
And I was afraid that I was really looking forward to that. But
but we did try traditional Mi'kmaq bread.
Yes.
It's an oral tradition passed down through grandmothers, and it's called Lufsky bread.
Yes.
Am I pronouncing that right?
I think so. And I was, it was nice to find that out, because I always thought that all the bread was called bannock. But maybe different tribes have different slight variations, so we have a recipe.
Yes.
Yeah, I brought a piece home that we shared, because they had made plain, there were blueberry, there was one with molasses, and one with cheese and herbs. So quite interesting that way. And it was just nice to be down and see all the people that actually turned out today.
It was. Yeah, very nice. So we are now back, and we are going to continue talking about yarn, obviously, but things that are up and coming, right?
Right. So, what's the number one thing that's up and coming? We have new yarns.
We do have new yarns. I am going to tie that into the sweater I'm wearing. I'm wearing a cardigan you made several years ago called the Magnolia Chunky Cardigan.
Yeah, do you want to stand up and show it?
I can stand up and show off this cardigan.
Because the bottom is...
Beautiful magnolia motif along the bottom edge and the ribbing there. And again on the sleeves.
And rather than use chunky yarn, I used a Canadian wool with mohair held double so that it softened it up.
The yarn was naturally dyed by us from the
Topsy Farms.
And we carry a similar line of yarn now. We call Maritime wool.
Right.
100% Canadian. But it is a bit scratchy. It's definitely for your outer winter garments.
And I decided to soften it up a little bit more by holding a strand of mohair with it.
Right. And I made the mistake of knitting the Tin Can Knits Harvest cardigan with Shetland wool. And I thought, oh, it's a cardigan. It's fine. It'll soften up. And I am one of those people who is really sensitive to it. So I can wear this no problem because it is
I think that if you had long sleeves on, you could wear the other one.
No, because I feel it on my neck too.
Oh.
It might be something I take apart and repurpose the yarn for. Because I can't, every time I go to put it on, I have to take it off. So if you don't want to make the mistake like I did, but you are looking for chunkier knits, we've got, well,
DK and worsted we have, right?
So we have in more of the undyed shades of the Eco Merino DK in a beautiful warm chocolate tone with flecks of, it's almost heathered with flecks of red.
Yeah, I don't know of any red sheep, so that can't possibly be 100% undyed.
It says that it is.
I know.
Well, okay. But then we got it in some, here, you hold on.
We got it in some dyed shades.
Right. So, just some bold colorways, like this turquoise and this beautiful burst of, what are we calling that?
I don't know. Does
Not
it have
magenta.
a name?
They don't have names on these ones. I named them on the website, but these just have color numbers.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know.
I think this might be Harbor.
Yes, and this one, it was a weird name that almost had nothing to do with it. I remember that. Anyway, they are listed both by a color number and name on our website. They're really sharp and striking for people who like bold gem tones. Then there is this one. It is called Golden. I remember that. And if you like...
I like that one.
If you like kind of the colors that I'm wearing, then you're going to love this one. It's called Pumpkin.
And they're all heathered.
Yeah.
Which is... I love that look.
Can you see
on
that?
Whether it's a sweater or a cardigan. Like knits that have a bit of a heather to them are really nice.
Makes it very interesting to work with.
And it's not so much color that it doesn't look nice with lace or cables.
So this
But
is
it's super soft.
100%
Untreated.
muslin free, untreated merino. And it says DK, but it's 22 stitches for 4 inches.
On a 4 millimeter.
Right.
So if you used a 4.5 millimeter needle, it would just be not quite as thick as some worsted. We have this, when people come in to shop, the yardage isn't much different between the worsted and the DK. And if you just do a gauge sample and get the right gauge, I think that they're almost interchangeable.
Yeah.
Depending on how thick you want your fabric to be.
So we're very excited to have these new fall tones, but we also have your undyed in this creamy emu. Is that what they call it?
I think so. And then a marled.
And this marled one they call ammonite, which is just so sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really fun. So those are the new DK yarns, which I guess I'll put back, and I'll grab another one that, so we bring in yarns that complement our naturally dyed products because they are both earth friendly, sustainable, and biodegradable, just like really nice yarns to work with that also feel great and have good stitch definition.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, you can't always knit with fingering.
And we should do a video sometime on how to do combinations of like two fingering make a DK, a DK and a mohair make a worsted. This is a chunky pattern, but I used worsted weight with mohair. So you
so,
don't
I mean,
always...
that's more like an Aran when you worsted weight with mohair. But it
But
worked. Yeah, you got the stitch, the gauge. So
yeah,
I guess I'll put these back and I'll grab Silk Harmony, which is...
I think that the whole point I'd like to make with that is that you don't have to go with specifically the yarn that's called for in a pattern. It's and I think I really adopted the idea when everybody was working on the ranunculus, because the ranunculus is a super popular pattern that's on a 6mm needle. And some people have knit it with lace weight, like one strand of mohair, and all the way up to a chunky yarn. So, as long as you get gauge, you can combine all the yarns.
We love to do that. In fact, we have a good friend that always knits with her fingering weight held double to marl them, or not even sometimes to marl them, but just because she prefers to knit with a chunkier.
But she likes our yarn.
Exactly. So we also now carry Silk Harmony.
And we have some patterns that are specific for the Silk Harmony.
What's the pattern called?
It's called...
Cable and Check. Cable and Check, Hat, Cowl, and Mitts. So this is one pattern for all three of those knits. The hat, the cowl, and
see those.
Mitts. They can see them. And of course we got in the colorway that it was knit in, which is Sapphire. So Silk Harmony is 50% silk, 30% wool, and 20% cotton. It's got good yardage at 240 meters per 100 grams. It recommends to use a 4.5mm.
And it feels so light.
It's so
like, I mean, they're all
light.
100 grams, but it feels bouncy.
I know, the merino we were just holding, it feels much heavier. So of course, because everyone wanted to knit the pattern in the sample colors, that's our last skein. Yeah, and we'll have to get some more in. The pattern calls for 2 skeins in order to complete all 3 projects.
I think that if you had one skein, you could do the hat or the cowl, but not both. I think you could do the hat and the cowl. Oh, it's not on this page. I think you could do the fingerless mitts with the other one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cabling does take up a little bit more yarn, right? So
right.
That's the other thing. So, what was I saying? I love it in turquoise. I absolutely adore it in lilac. And it also is heathered. It has that look to it. Flecks of almost white and cream in there.
But it's nice and shiny because of the silk.
Yeah. And then, of course, everybody loves Petal. Petal is a big fan favorite. And she's delicate and sweet.
Silk is very strong. It's actually, nylon was developed so that they didn't need to use silk to make parachutes. But that's why we also have nylon in our sock yarn now instead of silk. Nylons originally were made with silk.
Yes,
silk
exactly.
So, and it's warm, unlike nylon.
Right, yeah. It has all the natural properties of a natural fiber.
Right.
The cotton, I don't typically think of cotton in my sort of winter things, but at, 20% cotton? It really just
20
adds that lightweight sort of, what am I trying to say?
Well, the different fibers will take the color differently, and that's why there's a heathered look.
It has that, I'm talking about the way it sits on you. It's lightweight, it adds to great stitch definition. It drapes nicer, I think, because of it. I've seen a lot of people, not with this one in particular. We also have its complementary brand, Eco Harmony worsted, which is organic wool and organic cotton combined, 55 to 45%.
So this one
mixture.
Is similar, except it has part
more
of that
sheen,
yeah.
They can be used interchangeably. I really do like
or
them
together. Oh yeah, those two together.
I've seen people knit vests out of this. Somebody made a cardigan. Like, I wish I had done my harvest cardigan with the Eco Harmony.
Huh.
Because
it's got 233 meters, and this one has 240. So pretty much the same thing. So yeah, if you wanted to combine both of them, like if you were doing Fair Isle.
There's we have a lovely like sage green, a brass color, cranberry. Yeah. But this one is GOTS certified. So that's the Global Organic Textile Standard. And unfortunately, that one, while being natural and non-chemically processed,
it doesn't have certification, but it's very difficult for things to get certified.
Yeah. So again, Eco or Silk Harmony is what you're looking for. The pattern, cable and check hat, mitts, and cowl. Can you hold it up again? We do offer it in store. It is a free pattern on Estelle's website. You can download that and work from it. Otherwise, you can order it through us. You just have to pay for the printing and we'll send it to you.
Yep.
Okay. I'll put these back.
Great.
Up I get.
So did we already mention that some people might need this yarn?
No, why don't you go on about that?
Well, we're going to, as you may recall, if you're new, you may not know, we have knit-alongs during the year usually that we do virtually, and the last one was in the summer. We started it on July the 25th and called it Christmas in July, and it was to kick off knitting for Christmas, and the first item was the Seaside Stole for you to knit so that you had something for Christmas for yourself.
If you guys don't know what the Seaside Stole is, because you're just joining us, I do have the sample right there, but I don't feel like getting up again.
I'll go get it.
Okay. It's my pattern that I designed this year for a sweet little wrap, a stole, rectangular in design, 20 by 62 inches long, and it is a combination of chevron and lace section panels.
So Jasmine knit this with 2 full skeins and 2 50-gram skeins of our Eco yarn base. Echo.
So, but I, of course, measured it all out and know that you don't need the full 2 main colors. You need 1.5 skeins or 150 grams.
Right.
So,
and each of the lace sections requires 25 grams of. So if you have our minis from the Advent calendar, you can use 4 different minis for the 4 lace sections. We have one person that used all minis, even for the chevron section between the lace.
Exactly. Or you can grab one of our mismatched sock sets and use your 50-gram skeins using each color twice throughout.
Right.
Or we were also part of it.
This has got a lot of possibilities because
I designed it so that you can really make it your own.
Each section is 25 grams, right? So that makes it easier to like mix and match different patterns.
Actually, the chevrons in between the lace panels are only 20 grams. So I think, I forget now, but it worked out. It worked out that you could use one of our natural gradient scents as well. And we did some wonderful ones for fall now, with your golden and brown tones, your orange hues, and that little bit of Bordeaux on the end.
That looks a little bit like the colorway I dyed for the grocery girls.
A little bit. She's talking about this one here, Fruit Punch. It's similar but different.
Right.
And that's kind of the way it goes with natural dyes. There's only so much variations that we can achieve, but it is really fun to change the pH and try new ways of applying the colors that we get out of it. Oh, yeah, there you go. You make it look like a scarf instead of a shawl, but that's okay. It can be.
It can be whatever you want it to be.
So, unfortunately, we are no longer in stock of our natural gradients.
They're all sold out.
So, if you'd like one, you can contact Tracy's Rolling Yarn Truck or Sisterhood Fibers. I believe both of them will ship to you wherever you are.
Right. I'm not sure how many Sisterhood would even have left because it's been a little while since that went out. But anyway, it's always a good spot to check. And as over time, the color combinations change because we dye in small batches, including the 50-gram skeins. And so what you can get one time, the next time will be totally different.
Yes. And back on to our knit along. So We have a group on Facebook called The Year of Adventurous Knitting. It is a private group, but if you'd like to join, please do. We post in there when we're doing knit-alongs or have any pattern ideas, and feel free to also post your finished products and things that you've tackled throughout the year.
It's kind of like a little private club for people that like to knit with their minis.
It was created with the intention of helping people think of fun, interactive ways to use up their minis from our advent calendar. We call ours the Merry Maritimes, and unlike other natural dyers who change themes every year, we aim to highlight the beauty and majestic
Uniqueness.
Landscapes, the culture, sort of things that people don't know about the Atlantic provinces.
And things they do.
Yes, and things they do, and put out a series of different colors each year to represent that. And as we unveil them throughout the month of December, we also have stories about the colors and other companies or makers to visit, or stories to read up on about each sort of colorway.
Well, for example, last year we had Otis and Clementine.
Right.
It was a brilliant orange. And Clementine was sort of the nudge, right?
Right. And so we were like, well, Clementine, how do we... Well, we all know that clementines have been used to dried and string up like garland for Christmas, but how does this relate specifically to the Maritimes?
Yeah.
And then, we were like, well, we can talk about Otis and Clementine Bookshop, which is a new and used bookstore along the South Shore somewhere. And
I thought it was closer to Yarmouth.
Oh, yeah, that does sound... Right. Okay. I'm a little iffy on the specifics of the location, but I know that as well as being a bookstore, it's also a cat rescue. So they take in stray animals and help with the process of adoption. They have a new one. Yes.
And he's so cute.
And they help with the process of adoption. And at the same time, that colorway was unveiled on, I think it was Christmas Eve. And so it also fell on an Advent Sunday. And we give little extras on Advent Sundays. There's 4 throughout the month, and not only are you unwrapping a mini, but you are unwrapping something, a handmade extra.
Something from a maritime business or maker that is related to... No, it's just part of the theme.
I don't know what you were trying to say there. I was giving you the grace to go on, but I thought she's losing the plot.
It's not always related strictly to knitting, but...
It's not always related to knitting, but it is about the Maritime provinces. And we try to collaborate and coordinate with other fantastic small businesses. And that year, this was last year, on that day, Otis and Clementine happened to coordinate with our collaboration with... Sense and Sensibility. It's a play on words. It's a tea company that uses novelties and
history.
Yeah.
To make tea blends. They have
curated tea blends. So we gave Ostentatious, which was a beautiful black tea with cranberry and vanilla notes, I believe, and that coincided with the
bookstore,
which also serves tea, and it's just sort of like.
Right, we try and get something happening out there. Yeah.
Right, so,
And just on that note, just that you've mentioned Sense and Sensibility.
Yes.
We had their tea in 2 of our Advent calendars, and I'm going to blow it because this year, unfortunately, we cannot include one of their teas.
How could you blow it like that? Anyway, it's always a surprise, which means that you're just going to have to be surprised.
Well, I was just going to say that it's because, unfortunately, they had a major fire last winter. And their home and their business were in the same building, and they've lost all that. And so they've actually had to move back to Halifax, and she's working towards relaunching her business. So please, if you like tea, if you enjoyed last year's tea, follow Sense and Sensibility's social media and support her when the time comes that we can do that for her again.
That would be really nice.
Yeah, they've had a really rough year.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So back on point. What was it? Oh, my Year of Adventurous Knitting was created for buyers of that doesn't sound right. It was created as a group to support those who had received the Advent calendar and wanted to knit along with us and find adventurous ways to use your minis throughout the year.
Because not everybody wants to do a big project.
Right.
Some
of
people
course, you can use them for a big project.
Yeah, and there are some suggestions for larger projects on there that we don't necessarily have knit-alongs for. But we do things like, we did the mittens. We did the Seaside Stole, but last year we did the late bloomer mittens, and you designed the headband.
Yes, I don't know where she's going with any of this, so that's why I'm waiting for my chance.
We do both small and large knit-along projects.
Right. Last fall was the fall floral knit-along, and you knit, what are those socks called? The pressed flower socks.
Yes.
There's pressed flower hat, there's pressed flower cardigan. If you're interested in those patterns, they're a lot of fun. And I did the late bloomer mittens. I'm just actually going to grab them really quick.
It's so handy to be in the shop.
It is. So, and I'll grab a kit. You can hold one kit. I'll hold another kit.
Okay.
So, because, you know, it's not part of this year's knit along, but if you didn't knit with us last year and you're interested, so unfortunately I don't know where your socks got up to, but I'm gonna show off the late bloomer mitts.
They might be over there, or not.
They're not.
Okay.
So anyway, it was meant to be monochromatic, and that means that the flowers are embroidered on afterwards. You knit the baubles as you go, following the pattern, and then it's just a simple satin stitch in and out to create faux flowers. And I decided that it was a great way to use up some of our minis, or scraps from those minis from the Advent calendar, and that I was going to have like a floral bouquet. And some of the colors I used, obviously reds, purples, and pinks, and I doubled up my yarn. So rather than just have a strand of merino and mohair,
3 or 4, right?
Yeah, so I ran it through the needle double, and then just kept it double. You know how you put it through?
Yeah.
And I worked with 4 strands at a time, which makes them bouncier and more like full and blooming.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
And then I had yarn left over, so I was like, well, I want something matching, but I don't know if it's enough for a hat. So I made a matching headband. I called it the late bloomer headband, just so people searching would find it in relation to the mittens. And yeah, we sell kits for those. You have it
Here's a kit, and this one, so the main body of the mittens and the headband, you use 1 strand of fingering and 1 strand of mohair, and then if you want colorful flowers, we've included 2 different minis, so that and this one, it happens to have one of the nature wraps, so that the flowers would be quite colorful, and a pink. So if you held 2 strands of the pink and 2 strands of the other one, those flowers would be gorgeous.
Yes, we've created them so that they contrast and complement each other in interesting ways. You can always add extra scraps if you want even more colors in your flowers. I have another kit here. So there's several different varieties of kits and colors, but this one is close to what I used in my sample in my knit. I've got Tamarack Trail in both the mohair and the merino, and then a delicate pink and that splash of red for the mittens.
Beautiful.
As you see, yeah.
And so there's a variety of different color combinations on our website and in store, depending on which way you'd like to shop.
Yep. If you buy the kit, I include the PDF download or the printed version if you're buying in store
for the
headband.
But you do need to buy the mitten kit, the mitten pattern, because it's not our pattern.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So that being said, our knit-alongs have led to a lot of fun things that we've made over the years, and so we've just kept going with it.
Right, and because we started with the Christmas in July thing, we decided, well, let's continue with Christmas things and smaller knits so that people can knit along with us as well as do their Christmas knitting.
We're going to call it something make-along. figured out the catchy name yet. But I'm going to post about it tomorrow or the day after.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
something. Maybe that's the name. And we're going
Something special.
Something special make along, sure. There are going to be 4 pattern selections. It's going to take place the first Thursday after Canadian Thanksgiving.
That's
so
that's cast on day. And
Yes.
the way our virtual knit-alongs work is that at 4 p.m. we put out a video that we then download to YouTube. Jasmine does all that. And so if you can't join us at the time, you can watch it at your leisure. And
Mom, it doesn't matter if they can join us at the time. We're not going live. Everything's pre-recorded. She'll still get on and say, coming to you live, but it's not. You can't talk to
I want
us.
you to feel like you're part of it.
Help us grow our YouTube following, and then we can go live. Until then.
Yeah. It's pre-recorded. But we pretend that it's 4 o'clock.
So, we really do.
At least one of us does.
Thursday is important to us because we alternate between weeks of in-person knitting circles. We call it Knit Night at the local restaurant Waterview here in Pictou. And every other Thursday, I should say, is our virtual knit night called Maker Circle. You can find more details about both of these events on our website under events.
Yep.
And
Maker Circle is fun.
It's a lot of fun and you should join us. I mean, sometimes I'm there, sometimes I'm not, because
of circumstances.
Yeah.
But there's like people from further away. There's people from away but closer, like Halifax area.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the actual knit nights here in town, sometimes there's people that are not from here that just happen to be visiting this area.
Yeah.
Which is nice. And
it's a small circle. It's always a small circle. But it feels a little bit more intimate that way.
Mm-hmm. And we do it in the evening for those people that work.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or
yes, a lot of knit circles tend to be during the day. And that doesn't work for everyone.
Right. And I remember that from the days when I had to go to the office every day.
And we're working throughout the day, so
it works.
It just makes sense. We also do intermissions. So our virtual Maker Circle has 2 sessions, the first of which runs for 40 minutes, starting at 8 Atlantic Standard Time. And then the second session begins at 8:50, running to 9:30 Atlantic Standard Time.
Roughly.
Yes. Okay. Sometimes we get into the swing of it and we go for a 3rd session as well.
Yeah.
But this allows people to come and go if they have other appointments. Or
yeah, and if you're like working later, out shopping or whatever, you can start later.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's a very inclusive group and everyone is welcome to join and we hope to meet you.
You're going to show this now?
Yes. So the make along, we're doing 4 knit patterns we're going to put up and they're each going to be different. A hat, a scarf, a cowl, a pair of socks. And we might throw in 1 or 2 crochet patterns to really open it up to our followers who might want to join us.
Right.
And
without further ado, this is one of the patterns. I had this actually at the...
Okay, you're not showing it nicely.
All right, you put it on.
I'm not putting it on. I'm just going to help you out here.
It's called Hat Squared. Everybody thinks it's one of those... I forget the name of the popular pattern.
Oh my God, yeah. Everyone's always like, is that such and such?
And it's not. This is a free pattern and it's called Hat Squared. It's actually good for any gauge. And the way that it works is you start at the crown.
Up here.
Open it up.
Okay.
I actually started at this end.
Mm-hmm.
And so you increase, and depending on your gauge, you need fewer or more increase rounds. I increased to 112 stitches, but if you're working with a worsted or a chunky weight, you don't want it that big. So then you just knit a straight tube, you switch to ribbing, you switch colors to the same thing again, the ribbing and the tube, and then you decrease at the crown and finish off your hat. So it's one piece, no sewing required, And when you're done, you put the one half in the other half, and you have a double thick hat.
Right, and because it's DK weight and it's double thick, it actually
It's fingering weight.
Sorry, it's fingering weight and it's double thick. It becomes DK. But when you fold up the brim, because you did an extra long brim, so it could be slouchy or a toque.
Right.
When you fold it up, now you've got chunky, so your ears are extra protected.
Right. So, and if you don't, or you can wear a slouchy hat and have it like that.
So do you want to show off the yarns that you used with that while I grab some of our...
Sure.
No, you show it off. I'm going to go out and grab other yarn.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly what other yarn. I have the yarn that we actually used for it.
Yeah. So
oh,
talk
okay.
About the yarn you actually used for it.
So, this side, on the hat, it seems to have striped itself one row of each of the ends of the colors on the sugar cookie, which one end is a caramely color and the other end is speckled with pink and purple and on a cream background.
Hold it a little closer because it's so pretty, those specklings. And honestly, we should have called it blueberry muffin because of the way it knits up.
Fruit explosion.
Yeah.
Anyway, sugar cookie, because the icing on the sugar cookie is the white. So
it's got beautiful little bit bold speckling throughout.
Right, and then at the top it does this because the repeats are not as are more often, so then it pools a bit.
That actually does look more like a cookie or a cinnamon bun. Either way you look at it, right. This is delectable.
And then this is the tonal, and it also stripes.
Hold up the skein for that, if you could.
And there's a lighter section and the darker section, and it just works itself out to make light and dark stripes.
That colorway is called Orchid.
This is Orchid.
Yeah, well, that's Bordeaux. You're holding up a similar one, but not the exact one you used.
Right, because I think there's more color variation with the...
Yeah, it's no longer available in 50 grams, but you grabbed a 50 gram. Here, take this.
You take this.
So since you figured out that you can make it with 250 gram skeins,
right?
I have some variations that we have in stock that you could.
Oh,
you could use.
Cool! Yes.
Mismatched sock number 9 has fruit punch and chowder combined. Chowder is very similar to Beaver Meadow Trail. I realize that now, but they're sharp together. If you are a gem tone person, you love your purples, you love your blues, Mismatched sock set number 1 is going to give you those tonals. So again, the swirls of various colors, like you just showed off. If you want a very similar set to what Andrea just knit with, this one is with elderberry and the sugar cookie, which has beautiful purple bursts in there as well. That would look really nice. This one I love, and I don't know why it's still in stock because this is gorgeous. Sock set Mismatched number 2 and number 10.
What color is this?
This one was, we called it Red Trillium. There, I had to think about it for a minute.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah, Red Trillium and
so that's
Bordeaux.
The only one.
Yeah. And this one is
Seashell
and Fruit Punch. Yeah.
Very pretty.
Okay.
And if you are like me and used full skeins because you weren't sure if you'd have enough, then I actually feel like I have, this is how much I have left at this point.
Of each. Oh
of each. Which is still like substantial considering that I have knit this much of 2 pairs of 2 socks. This is top down. So
I love them together. The colors look so nice together.
Right, and with the fewer stitches in the round, the stripes get thicker. And on sugar cookie, they're actually more of a spiral.
Right. So our variegated skeins, the way you make them, they are, we used to say self-spiraling, but it's becoming more and more stripe-like with time. So I'd say they're self-striping.
Yeah, it just depends on...
the circumference creates chunkier or thinner stripes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
So...
mittens would be cool, too.
Yeah. So speaking of socks. The hat pattern is going to be part of the knit along, make along, whatever we're calling it. We're also going to have socks in there. So if you're like me and you never wear socks.
And then all of a
Ever.
sudden,
And then
my feet are freezing.
winter comes along and your feet are freezing, but you don't want big chunky socks like that you'd wear out.
I wear nothing
I still want like fingering weight socks on my feet, except when I'm at home and I want super thick, chunky slipper socks.
And these are fantastic. I actually wear them over my other socks.
I designed this pattern I called Marling Darling, and it's sort of a step-by-step tutorial on how to hold all of your fingering weight yarns together to create marling and interesting color.
And a gradient all at the same time.
Yes. So I talk about how to choose your colors, how to gradiate your colors.
And how many strands are you holding together?
So I'm just going to double check. I believe it is
3 plus a mohair?
3 strands of fingering plus a mohair. And it was all minis and scraps. So except the mohair, which I think I used a full skein of mohair so that they had the same
background.
Yeah.
So that was the cohesion, right?
And what I did is, like, for me, I am a peachy person. As you can tell, I wear a lot of peach and rust and orange. So that was sort of throughout the whole sock, even down in this bit here. You've got your peachy tones that come through, which is more evident even in this one, right? So it was all about carrying one color all the way through. Even if that yarn ran out, making sure that a similar shade took its place in order to...
Yeah, so you're working basically like with a base color family.
Yeah, that's a great way to talk about it.
And then, because even though down here you've still got the orange, peachy, clementine-y look.
Yes.
Like, even in the toe, which has primarily gray, off-white, and pink, there's a very pale peachy color in there.
Yeah.
Which is really rather cool. And starts out beige and yellow and...
Right. And it's a very simple sort of vanilla sock pattern, but the pops of color that you choose along the way really sort of differentiate it. And you can make them... the ones I made you are absolutely matching. I kept almost just enough of each color for the second sock. These were sort of like, they're matching-ish. But yours are like dead right.
Yeah, mine are great. Mm-hmm. And mine are mostly reds.
Reds and
like
golds.
In the background, yeah. So I love them.
Actually, gold was the color that carried all the way throughout. And it went from like a rusty brown into a dark raspberry burgundy and
like
then
that Cosmo color.
And then a raspberry red, yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, they were a lot of fun to make. And
so if you want to make slipper socks for people.
And this way you can use all of your minis, which do have the 20% recycled nylon. But if you're throwing in scraps from, say, our GOTS, which is just pure merino, then the silk from the mohair and silk is going to add that strength and durability.
Because silk is stronger than nylon.
Mm-hmm. So that is another project that's going to be featured, and then we have 2 or 3 more surprise patterns that we're going to announce in the next couple days.
Right. So we're going to start the Thursday after Thanksgiving.
I believe it's the 17th, but...
Yeah, because the day after Thanksgiving was the 15th, but it was a Tuesday. We don't do starts on Tuesdays. That was my dad's birthday. But we're just going to do it 2 days later on the Thursday, so everybody has time to gather their yarn. And we're going to get those other patterns out for you. But because they're small projects and because Christmas is coming, we thought that perhaps this would actually get you knitting some things as gifts as well. So you might knit all of them.
Yes. And
we may have to get to the point where we add more patterns.
I don't think so. No. Oh. Don't give you any ideas. No, there's going to be set patterns.
Give me an idea. I'll run with it.
She's not going to start throwing... You do that, though. We'll be halfway through a knit along. You'll be like, you could also knit this.
I've decided to knit along with something completely different.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to try to be a bit more organized about that.
I'll try and listen to her.
If you haven't already... What was I going to say? Sign up to subscribe to our newsletter. You can do that through our link tree on Instagram or through our website, and you'll stay in the loop and you get all the updates when I make announcements.
Final information about the knit along.
Yes.
And if you don't have any minis from a past knit along, that's okay. We have mini sets.
We actually have to make a few more up. We have exactly 4 at the moment.
Hurry, get on there.
They're behind the camera, so I'm just going to get real close. Dun, dun, dun.
I think we have some minis in a box somewhere.
Yes, but I don't know that there's a whole lot.
No, because I'm right now dying for the advent calendar.
Right.
And pre-orders are not usually available this late in the season, but we do have 2 left.
Yeah, had we not said that?
I don't think so.
So if you haven't ordered your advent calendar already, what are you waiting for?
Right.
There are 2 left.
If you don't claim it, I'll knit with it next year.
Yeah, exactly. I'll find use of them. But anyway, the colors are shaping up pretty interesting this year.
Yeah, there's quite a range.
The stories behind some of them are really inspiring.
Yeah.
And we have been working with some businesses we admire as collaboration on the project. So we have extras for 3 of the Advent Sundays already picked out and ready to be wrapped up.
We went and picked some up yesterday.
Yes. So.
And some came in the mail last week.
Yeah. So you can find those on our website, the Maritime Advent Calendar. You can use the search bar at the top. You can wait for the pop-up to pop out at you and ask you if you want it, or...
I have a question.
Yes?
The Marlin Darlin slipper socks.
Marling Darling.
Isn't that what they're called?
Yeah, I said Marlin Darling.
I talk funny.
Anyway, what about it?
I didn't even have a drink, and I'm slurring.
Okay.
Anyway, how much yarn do you need for it?
That's a very good question.
We'll have to weigh them.
No, I did all that when I made up the pattern.
Oh, so it must say in the
Yeah,
back.
I just can't off the top of my head remember what it is. The pattern is also available on Ravelry with all the details there. Okay, way to throw me off base here. Back to the mini sets that you might need in order to join the make-along.
This one is perfect for those socks.
Oh my God. Yeah, this one is called One Shell of a Time. It's little puns on seaside summer festivities.
And we had a shell of a time.
There's 2 of those left. We've got this is my favorite. Came out this spring, last one available. She's a wildflower with golden hues and pinks and purples in there. Very soft, very, very demure. And then we have...
Like you?
Yeah, that's it. And then we have Tied Down, which is your
what
gem
I need
tones,
having done.
Gem tones in there. You need purple. You've got a little bit of gray here, like smoke on the water. Very pretty. And a few more we will make up and put out in the next couple of days. So keep your eyes on our social media to see new mini sets.
Yep. I think that's about it.
We covered a lot.
We talked about everything. Thank God we did in 2 sections.
And the lighting has changed dramatically throughout this whole process. So
But the yarn's still spectacular.
I look a little bit gray toned, but the yarn, yeah, it's there and it looks great. Okay.
So thanks for hanging in there with us.
Yeah.
We enjoyed it.
Some of us more than others.
We're a lot of fun.
Oh my God. Anyway, thank you to those who have gotten this far. We hope that you have a wonderful week.
If you think you can put up with us, subscribe and like.
That's right. And share the post if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, until next time, be natural.
Be you.
Bye.
Bye.